Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Thursday. So, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, on Monday afternoon or Monday morning, whatever, I did get in a new batch of figures from the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. It is Series 6 release of the Big Rubber Guys. So, this is something, and here's the thing about Big Rubber Guys, and it's kind of frustrating because just like many other guys, many other companies out there, you are waiting several months to get a lot of these figures in, especially when they got a lot of pre-orders for many series coming months apart. But when they finally do release the figures, you're not waiting a year from Series 3 to Series 4 to get the figures. You're not waiting 8 months to get Series 4 to Series 5, etc. So at least when they start rolling in, you're getting your figures relatively quickly. So that is a positive. And now that the ball's been rolling, and every month or two you're starting to get a new batch of or a new wave of figures in. I think last time I checked, we're around wave 8 or 9 of the series from Big Rubber Guys. So getting in Series 6, we're getting close to the last wave. I'm waiting for that Dusty Rhodes wave of figures. That one it should be impressive. But wave 6, we got 3 figures, and I don't know. Wave 6, before we look at the figures, it has its ups and downs, and it kind of reminds me of a Series 4. So Series 4 theoretically looks fantastic, looks great, because you get 2 awesome characters in Andre the Giant and Macho Man, right? So you look at the back of the card, you get those 2 figures, but realistically, you actually got 3 figures. So when they released the figures, you had the opportunity to get a blue strap and black strap Andre, as well as a orange trunks Macho Man with asterisk. So 2 characters, 3 figures. I don't really like that. I think if you're gonna charge for additional figures, I'd like to see different characters. I want to see different, like I said, different characters. I don't want to see repaints. A lot of these companies, they're constantly taking the same character. Cello Toys is horrible at doing that as well. That one character, what was his name? Brian Knight or Michael Knight or something Knight. I forget the character's name. I'm not familiar with them. That man's got like 20 different color schemes, and it's infuriating. And if you're a collector and you're an obsessive collector like myself, you want to have every single variant because your obsessive compulsive disorder won't allow you to say that you have the whole collection without acquiring every single piece. But so they had black and blue Andre strap figures, and then they had the orange. But that doesn't even include the pink trunks that they would come out to release later on. And the original green trunks that they had at the WrestleCon that they released. So technically you had 2 characters, but you had 5 different figures. So that was kind of frustrating. The British Bulldogs in Series 5, kind of same thing. You kind of saw these light blue trunks or pants, British Bulldogs, and that's what everyone was buying. But then when they started coming in, you end up getting these white pants British Bulldogs. It's like, yeah, they're nice and all, but man, I don't want this. I want the blue. So now you got to go back online and through a secondary market to buy the blue pants if you want them. It's kind of frustrating. So here we are in Series 6, and we do have 2 characters, but we do have 3 figures for now. Who's to say that they're not going to come out with new repaints in the future, right? The first one I'm going to look at is Magnum TA. So, per usual, when you look at these figures, they do show you Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, Series 5, and then Series 6. So they do keep them in order, so you can see all of your current and past releases of these figures. Magnum TA. And like many of these companies nowadays, they come out with the easy release card backs, I want to freaking give a big damn hug or a French kiss the person that decided to come out with these easy releases, because, man, as a collector, you have no idea how much of a savings that makes, because realistically, you don't have to be someone who has to buy doubles of everything. If you want to display these figures loose, you can just simply open the package up, display your figures loose. You ever want to bring them back to mint on card? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. There's no having to buy 2 figures so that you can have a mint on card collection like me, or a loose collection. Magnum TA, man. First glance, colors throughout is absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful figure. I mean, obviously the first thing that kind of stands out to me is fighting pose, because I am a obsessive compulsive fighting pose guy. I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know, right? And you actually kind of look at the 2 Earthquake figures that I got from Print Fury. Fantastic figures. Blue Earthquake, and then you got the Natural Disasters, Black and Red Earthquake. He kind of has a very similar pose with the hands kind of off to the, kind of down low at his hips, like so, right? So this kind of reminds me to an extent of that. Now those figures, they're resin. So as statues, you're not really focusing on play pose. You're just looking at them as for what they are, which are statues, and they look fantastic. Now as playable wrestling action figures, and yes, I got it. When you actually look not a toy, I think that's funny. Ages 18 and up. Because of the cost associated with them, yeah, these are intended for adult collectors. I got it. But let's be honest, my dudes. At some point, let's say someone out there is 25 years old and they've got 4-year-old kids. At some point, they're going to be 30, 35, 40 years old, and these figures are just not going to do it for them anymore. And they're probably going to have kids who are 16. They're probably going to have a younger kid that's 12, a younger kid that's 6. You don't think that at age 40 that they're going to say, you know what, I don't need these anymore. I've lost my passion, and give these to their 6-year-old kid. Or maybe, hey, I'm a 48-year-old man, and I have a 6-year-old son, and I want my kid to experience what I experienced as a child. Now, I'm just saying in general. I'm not, me personally, I'm not 48, but damn. Could you imagine me 48? Actually, according to my wife, I don't freaking age, so I don't know. I remember walking into a bar back in Chicago. This was like 2010. So right after I got out of the Army. I'm 25 years old. I walk into a bar. I sit down and I order a bottle of beer. And it wasn't so much that they carded me for that, but the fact that when I showed her my ID, like, it still wasn't good enough for her. Like, she walked down to the end of the bar and showed my ID to, like, these 2 random dudes. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Show my personal information. And I go to find out later on that those 2 guys at the end of the bar were cops. And probably, they probably owned the bar or part owners or something. But I just thought that was so freaking weird. And it's kind of funny for me because I'm living in Illinois now. Because I had just left Texas, where I had been living as a soldier at that time for 6 years, and my driver's license was from Colorado because on my very first combat deployment, my Illinois driver's license had expired. So my wife was living with her dad in Colorado while I was on my deployment, and so when I went on my first R&R, I got my driver's license in Colorado. So never really living in Colorado, but I actually really love that Colorado license. But anyways, shoot, back to the figures, man. Damn. Magnum TA, I've Never seen this man wrestle a day in my life. Oh God, excuse me. I have literally no freaking idea any history, any matchups. I think he's famous because in the either mid or late 80s, I think he was in a car accident that ended his career. Now, I don't know if he went into managing or promotions or anything like that, like a promoter or whatnot, but the the term Magnum TA, damn, what was his name? I know that the TA stood for his real life initials, and he was supposed to mimic Tom Selleck, or he was supposed to look a lot like Tom Selleck, and obviously Magnum PI was like a huge TV show back in the day, so Magnum for Tom Selleck, and then TA for his initials. I thought that was clever. I like the figure a lot. I'm not huge on the pose, but you know what? It's a fine figure. The Macho Man from Series 3 was a very small, thin figure, and I still think it's a very fine figure. The overall look, think Galoob, Dustin Rhodes Series 2 boots. That is incredible. That detail, I thought that Galoob, Dustin Rhodes might have the best boots, but this is, like I said, this is basically spot on. And I actually should probably brought that figure down and kind of compare the two. That is remarkable. Yeah, I really wish I had a lot more to say about this particular character. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of knowledge, a lot of history. But that is Magnum TA. And, dang. I'm trying to think of the name. I mean, Terry, maybe? Thomas. Like, the name Terry is in my head, but I don't think that's what it is. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up after I close out the video. As far as the last name, I'm at a loss. I'm not sure. I'll look it up, and I'm pretty sure maybe I'll talk about it in a later video. This is a solid freaking piece. I like this a lot. Jim Duggan. Now, I like this for multiple reasons. Number one, fighting pose is actually very close to what you get with the original 1980s LJN of Jim Duggan. So that is very nice. And I also like the fact that they kind of upgraded to what I know to be in my assumption of a Series 2 Hasbro. And if you guys watched my tournament video yesterday, I actually had a custom LJN Jim Duggan figure in that video that I pulled, and that was random, and I thought that was pretty awesome that I chose that figure randomly, knowing that I was going to make this video. So that was pretty awesome that happened. And when you look at Hasbro and you look at the boots are black, and their boots were blue, and this boots are blue. I don't remember, man. Like, you would think that Jim Duggan, he is one of those characters that I could actually remember a lot about as a kid, because he was just such a huge freaking fan favorite. You talk about all these guys that were like so over with the crowd. Guys like Jim Duggan and, let's say, Junkyard Dog would be a good example, yet never got any real pushes as champions. Now, sometimes, if guys are like real company people, I don't want to say yes men, but they're good company people, and the crowd loves them, maybe sometimes if the company doesn't want to give them a push as Intercontinental or Heavyweight Champion, maybe they'll put a couple guys together and make them tag team champions or something. I don't remember Duggan ever having any kind of run as any kind of champion. Now, making him your very first Royal Rumble champion in 1988, good or bad, I don't know. I don't think of Jim Duggan as being this over-the-top, spectacular wrestler. Now, I get it, because in WWF, a lot of these characters like Jim Duggan and like the Bushwhackers are perfect examples. Yeah, they were real brawlers when you look at them, like Bushwhackers in New Zealand, or when you look at these guys in like AWA, etc., or NWA, or other territories. When you look at all these different wrestlers and these different promotions, they are incredible, over-the-top wrestlers, but then they get to the to WWF, and then all of a sudden, they're dialed down, and they're kind of like catering to kids more than not. So I'm looking at the fight, the pose of this figure, and I am not liking the pose for the 2x4, because this will not, I can already guarantee, will not stay. So I think that's not going to work at all. Yeah. It's not good. It's nice that they give you a 2x4 accessory, but I hate accessories when they don't work. The way that his hands are, it's kind of like Jake Roberts from LJN. When his hands are out like this, and you're supposed to, like, obviously wrap the snake accessory around his hands. So, no, I'm not a huge fan of that. It's somewhat a balance in between LJ and Jake Roberts and LJ and Jim Duggan. So, Jim Duggan, he's kind of like out like this and hand out like this, so he's got a good punching motion. So it's fine. It's a good figure. I like it a lot. Again, it would be nice if the actual 2x4 could actually fit in his hand. Because he's a playable figure, much more enjoyable, I would say, most definitely. Kind of give you a glance around for detail purposes. But they don't stop there. They do give you a more of an all-American Jim Duggan. And once again, man, like I said, I don't like that. Me personally, I love the extra design of Jim Duggan, right? So, I would much rather have this Jim Duggan, and you could have omitted the Jim Duggan without face paint. Or kind of do like what Ram Treasures does with their figures. You request painted or unpainted, right? And on the website, Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, you can say, hey, here's two variants. You can request painted, you can request unpainted. Now, if you're a fan that, well, but then it gives you the same issue. The same issue is someone out there is going to have a version of this. Someone out there is going to have a version of that. And so then it doesn't really work that way. So even that wouldn't be a good option. But it's literally the exact same figure. And like I said, you only upgrade is the American flag painted face. And then your, not really a 2x4, more like down, kind of looking at this. What is this? I'm trying to think what this is made out of. It's not plastic, I don't think. But it doesn't feel like wood. Neither one of these really feel like wood, but they don't, like, maybe like, what's that, plastic wood grain? Something like that, maybe? Where it looks like wood, but it's not authentic wood, it's plastic. Anyways, not much more I can say about this. You know what would have been better? I always kind of reflect on Hasbro because why? Hasbro is my toy line from childhood. It is the single greatest wrestling toy line ever made. So it is very simple to say. They want that version. That could be like you kind of look at that as your Series 2 Hasbro. They could have painted this to look like your Series 10 Hasbro, the All American Hasbro with the blue shirt and like the American made knee pads type or something like that. Maybe instead of a 2x4, maybe gave him like an American flag or something. You already got the face paint, solid. I would have kept that. You didn't have to get rid of that. Maybe gave him some blonde hair. So there are changes I would have made, obviously. I would love to work for the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, man, and just kind of be like one of those guys that are like sitting down, like reviewing figures before they release anything. Like, hey man, what do you think? And kind of give opinions and stuff, because I think that would be an amazing job. I think that would be so much freaking fun. Now I do think that whatever this is made out of does hold better into the hand than that other piece. I mean, not by much, but I mean, it's not falling out, so that helps a little bit. I didn't realize that these were coming in the mail, and I knew I'd ordered them way back when, but that's what's difficult about ordering these things and sitting around for 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year, waiting for this stuff to come in from all of these different companies like Rush Collectibles and Asylum and Zombie Sailors and just all these different toy companies, man. Because like you order these things, that's like either A, you forget that you ordered them, and then you go ahead and you order them again, and then when they finally do come in, you got like 20,000 figures on your hand, or B, you order them and you think, okay, maybe your order's been canceled, or maybe they shipped them out and they ran out of stock or something. And so now you see people selling them for, they're selling them on like eBay or something. Like, man, I got to pick this up now before I lose out. And that's what I did. I bought some figures on eBay, and all of a sudden now these come in the mail like, oh, hell. Alright, it's fine. It's not like I bought a crazy amount. I got a couple of additional figures, so I'll have some loose figures to go with my carded pieces, and that's fine. It'll be good. At some point, yeah, it would be nice to kind of have like my LJN loose display wall. I would love to have a wall just for all of the big rubber guys figures. Random Treasures, man, they're pretty much gonna outsource or pretty much outgrow all of the original LJN figures. So you're really gonna have to create a wall section just for them, because I'm kind of like grouping all their figures together on the limited space that I have on my custom wall. But I want to do the same thing with the big rubber guys. I don't think these figures are gonna go anywhere anytime soon. I think they're gonna keep making them for the foreseeable future. So, how many? 50 figures? 70? 100? I don't know. I kind of got this vision in my head that at least 50 figures will probably be out in the next few years before we might see some kind of stoppage, but there really is no timeline. I think this could really go on forever. Series 6. It was a good pickup. Is it my favorite series so far? Of course not. I still say Series 2 Demolition, even though it was only 2 figures. Series 2 Demolition still has the best figures, the best release so far. Best rubber, best look, best authentic look, best characters, best accessories, best play pose. There were just nothing wrong with the Series 2 figures. They were absolute perfection in every way that you could imagine of an action figure. So, but Series 6 was good. Is the secondary Jim Duggan figure, was it necessary? I really can't complain about having an extra piece, but It would have been nice if they had a different character. So that's something to consider. But other than that, it was a nice series to review, and I'm glad to be able to add one more video to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast review folder. And if you guys are interested in seeing any of the other series, again, I'm going to have this all in the same folder, so you'll be able to see the review for all 6 series. If you want to go back and watch any of those, kind of see any other series, see any other figures that the Big Rubber guys have produced already. So that is it for this video, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye, everybody.